Hey, I'm Mason Cornell and I did my sustainability project on Foodways. Now let's get the obvious question out of the way. What exactly are foodways? Well, foodways are defined as the cultural, economic, and social practices of producing and consuming food. No matter where you are, everyone has different customs when it comes to food. For instance, it's rather common for some countries to eat insects and arachnids. Another example is, in China, you're supposed to leave at least one bite-sized piece of food to signify that you're done. Otherwise, you're insulting the chef and basically saying that they didn't give you enough food. One of the key differences between each country's foodways are how the food is produced. The production of food is quite different in more developed countries, otherwise known as MDCs, compared to that of which lesser developed countries, LDCs. MDCs have found a way to genetically modify food, GMOs, which is often used to create more food in larger proportions, and better ways of farming. This, in return, increases the sustainability of the nation and, in theory, feeds more people. However, people have found that there are multiple upsets and downsides to these methods. For one thing, we don't really know the effects of GMOs and pesticides which are used in our foods. People have been suffering from more allergies and autism in recent years, which many scientists allude to the fact that it might coincide with GMO consumption. There have also been records of these business farms treating animals unethically and putting them in unsustainable, harsh conditions. An example of this being that chickens are shoved into pens and forced to grow so fat that their legs give out and their bodies can't actually support themselves. LDC's food practices are much more organic and natural. Of course, this is because they don't really have the same technology that we do, but it's where they don't have highly processed or GMO-infested food like we do. Now, this does have its shortcomings, as they don't really have that high of sustainability rates. Their practices only produce so much food where it becomes difficult to keep certain people from starvation. Thus, more families have to run their own farms and produce solely for themselves. This is known as subsistence farming. This also tends to lead to a harder time for development into an MDC stage or even a semi-periphery stage, since there's a large focus on working to make food rather than development. Western societies have tried to implement their food cultures and practices into Africa in order to help it become a more developed continent. However, this only ended up hurting the countries where it was implemented, since the pesticides and technology is so expensive the African countries couldn't really support themselves with these farming methods. It ended up taking a toll on Africa's economy, and they went through since a lot of their crops and food were ruined in the process. Not long after, the countries went back to their old methods. However, Western societies are still trying to find a way that could work for Africa and help them move up in development. Now that we know how food production relates to sustainability, how about our food consumption? Well, of course, in Western societies, we tend to eat more prepackaged and processed foods such as chips or soda. This leads to more non-biodegradable waste polluting our environments and destroying our ecosystems and harming the organisms around us. Comparatively, due to the lack of technological advancements and high poverty rates, LDCs don't really have the resources to support the massive production of prepackaged foods. They of course consume whatever they can grow, meaning it's fresh and not processed, leading to a healthier lifestyle and environment. So, in conclusion, MDCs tend to produce larger quantities of food and consume more fats/unhealthy foods, and produce more waste with their foodways as opposed to LDCs who can barely support themselves with their ways of agriculture. However, their food tends to be more organic and natural and better for you.